Niagara Falls. Niagara Falls. This waterfall calls up the indefinite past. When Columbus first sought this continent, when Christ suffered on the cross, when Moses led Israel through the Red Sea, nay, even when Adam first came from the hand of his Maker, then as now, Niagara was roaring here. The eyes of that species of extinct giants whose bones fill the mounds of America have gazed on Niagara as ours do now. Abraham Lincoln, 1848. Mr. Lincoln and I don't agree on very much, but we do agree on giants. And this speech was a mere 2 years after the founding of the Smithsonian Institute of Giant Bone Collection and Deep Secret Storage, or deletion, erasure, perhaps by grinding up the bones into bone meal for fertilizer, or possibly mush for orphans.
I don't like mush.
I found more articles on that gigantic coffin discovered up in Nara. And quickly, before these articles disappear, and before the coffin disappears along with its contents, the Teller report repeats information from a disappeared NHK article. We learned that, quote, the front side of the mirror is polished to reflect light, and the back side has images of gods and beasts arranged in a circle, as well as detailed patterns such as lines resembling the teeth of a saw. It was treated. Also, in the center part, there was a protrusion to pass a string through. This is the first time that a shield-shaped mirror has been found. An iron sword with a wavy shape called a serpentine sword was also unearthed at the same location in the burial mound. The length of the sword is just over 2.3 meters, making it the oldest sword of its type found in Japan, and the longest sword of the same era found in East Asia. Shinya Fukunaga, a professor at Osaka University who is well-versed in the Kofun period, commented on the discovery, saying, the mirror in particular is thought to have been made in a workshop that possessed the most advanced technology of the time and can be said to be the greatest piece of metalwork in the first half of the Kofun period. It can be interpreted as a sacred combination of the defense of a shield and the mystery of a mirror, and has the power to keep evil at bay. It may have been buried as a burial item, he said. Well, this fellow is well-versed indeed, isn't he? From the Daily Mainichi, we learn that the tomb mound is 110 meters in diameter and is Japan's biggest. The Japan Times gives us nothing more, but has more photos. All of these media outfits have made the same editorial decision that the mirror is the real story. The mirror is the heart of this story, not the sword, which gets hardly a mention, and definitely not the coffin, which doesn't even get a mention in every article. And absolutely, definitely not the contents of the coffin, which is never even discussed. Shiny, pretty mirror. Look over here. It's pretty. It's shiny. Now, this reminds me of a mound of personal interest right near here over in Bingo, Akasaka. Last summer, in August, we visited there the first time. The next month, September, I took you inside a Kofun megalithic tomb. We just barged right in and looked all around. And I wondered at the time, who needs a tomb this big and long? And also, who is big and strong enough to move these stones? I've never met anyone who could. Well, you can explain away the first question. Maybe the guy was buried together with his hunting dog, his horses, his chariot, his dinner couches, his servants, his wives and concubines, and so on. And that would explain the need for a massive tomb of great volume. And the second question you can just ignore, as they do. But now we have a wooden coffin, 5 meter long, 16.5-foot wooden coffin. Coffins have an occupancy of 1. Coffins are made to fit their occupants. So who needs a 16-foot coffin? 16.5-foot. A 16-foot man or woman, that's who. Bingo Akasaka on that mountain with 30 kilometers of ancient mining tunnels that we need to explore. That's on the to-do list. The megalithic tomb that is exposed, we did explore. We passed others lower down that have been collapsed or ransacked. I think there's a fantastic, super large tomb on top of the mountain right here. Looks hard to get to. We might not be able to get up there, but I'd like to try. 2 more probable tomb mounds here, adjacent to the graveyard where we found the timber X's and heard the wood knocks. Also probably inaccessible because it's ringed around by private property. 1 more down beside the train tracks here, which has never been opened. And I think 1 here. Very accessible, used even today as a graveyard. It's still buried, as far as I know. There's still, perhaps, a gigantic coffin inside it with the remains of a giant. So I think someone should probably go and just look around it, look up and down and kick its tires.